Sills, happy Monday to you. Welcome aboard. We appreciate everyone that comes aboard each and every single week here on the National Football Show with Big Sills. Thank you guys so much. Hope you all had a great weekend. For the record, just when you think Jimmy Butler and that Heat team are not going to be there and they're going to get swept, what happens? Heat culture, Heat attitude. They're going to fight you, man. I'm gonna make this point to you about certain teams. You know, this goes into what the Eagles did last year better than any football team, and that includes even the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you know what that is? The Eagles fought, and they fought for 17 NFL weeks. They showed up every single game last year. You can't say that about every team. You can't. You cannot say that about every single team in the NFL. Shit, the Colts ended up beating the Chiefs early on in the season. So to me, I love teams that show up because you know why? The resiliency of some of these teams. Dude, you can't coach that. Let me put a point out here to you. You can't coach desire. You can only recruit it and draft it. You can't develop that. You can't. You're just that. You got a dog mentality about you. You were born with it. I think that's innate. That you just are constant fighting for something. Like, I don't think Bill Belichick coached Tom Brady into being a fighter. I don't think anything coached Jalen Hurts into being a fighter. I think Jalen Hurts is that guy. I think he's a fighter. And guess what? I think that's what the Eagles are investing in. Okay? I think they're investing in that. They're investing in the fight. Here's the one thing you know when you give Jalen Hurts the money. Jalen Hurts is not going to take that contract and that $255 for granted. Whereas you see some of the people take that money for granted. And what happens? Either they get a different attitude, have a different position or disposition with players in the locker room. Dude, I love watching teams like the Heat. Boy, I'll tell you this. I don't know if they have the persona of Eric Spoelstra, but they sure have the identity of Pat Riley. It just reminds me of Pat Riley. I love watching anybody who fights like that. I really do. Okay. As you know, some of the things that people say, okay, they come here for breaking news. I don't call myself a journalist, but you know Big Sills knows a ton of folks. Last year, I think the last 2 years maybe, we've had Marty Callner on. You know who he is, right? He's the creator of Hard Knocks. And HBO is debating whether or not the Eagles would be a team or a candidate to be a Hard Knocks team. They haven't named it yet. Usually they name that, and usually they kind of have the team in mind, or at least 3 teams in mind. Okay? 3 teams in mind for Hard Knocks. Are the Eagles a good candidate? And would you want to see the Eagles on Hard Knocks? Would that be something? I don't even know if that's in the makeup of the Eagle organization. They're kind of a little like the Al Davis Raiders. They like to keep everything behind the doors of the NovaCare Center. I mean, are there enough personalities? Oh my God, Kelsey would be unbelievable on Hard Knocks. Callie Green goes, no, thank you. Wait a minute. Could you imagine Kelsey on, he'd be an even bigger star. Have Kelsey Let's see who else would be. Jalen would be as boring as ever, but that's okay. Okay. A.J. Brown would be great. I think Jordan Mailata would be great. How about the singing O-lineman? Carter and Jordan Davis would be a hell of a story. Slay, Big Mouth Slay. Hey, right? Big Mouth Slay. That's what I call him. BG would be great. He would. Brandon Graham would be great. Would you like to see the Eagles on Hard Knocks? Yeah, I'd be cool with that. How about Sirianni? Holy shit. Sirianni on Hard Knocks. What do you think, Tone? Hard Knocks, Eagles. Why not, man? You just gave a guy $51 million. Give me a break, dude. I mean, everything's in front of this team. It's the best team in the NFC, least on the roster. Why not? Let the nation see this team. Why do you got to hide it? Or you just want to make it all about ball? It's okay. Make it all about ball. Yeah, Tone's like, I'm with it. Oh, my God. Get this, too. You get to show the fan base. I think the Eagles are a perfect candidate for Hard Knocks. The psycho fan base, Jason Kelsey, Big Mouth Slay, Hassan Reddick. Man, I think that would be a hell of a series. Don't they normally give that to rebuilding teams or teams with tons of pressure? What, you don't think giving a guy $51 million is a ton of pressure? And repeating as NFC champions? In my opinion, the best Hard Knocks was the Ravens. Okay? The Super Bowl champion Ravens. That was the best Hard Knocks so far, in my opinion. And that was the first one. The Philly media, too. The media scrums. Yeah, man. I love that. Dude, I think the Eagles would be awesome for Hard Knocks. I'm going to get Marty Caldner on. Marty Caldner has some say on what teams the league has, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Eagles don't have to. And if there's some sort of parameters when it comes to picking the team for the Hard Knocks that the Eagles don't have to. Okay, but man, that'd be great for branding. Look, it's one thing to be branded inside Philadelphia, but I'm talking about national branding. They talk Cowboys, Jets now, Rams. Add in Jalen Carter's storylines. Absolutely, man. Big time distraction. Dude, I don't think anything's going to dent the wall of that close-knit family you have at the NovaCare Center. I don't think anything's going to bust that thing open. So we should run a poll, man. Do you want the Eagles in Hard Knocks, yes or no? Like, hey, Tone, if we could do that, Philly media is enough to deal with. Callie Green, psycho fan base, yes, Sue. Hey, Sue, psycho fan base, I mean that with nothing but love. Okay? Nothing but love. That's not a shot. That's not a shot. The Eagles are like the mafia. No one comes between the family. How you doing? How you doing? If we're going to do anything stupid to one of the family members, we all, including, we have to have a tailgate. And we all have to meet. And then we all have to decide. So at Lincoln Financial, we'll have we'll have the consiglieres. We'll all sit around. We'll have a cookout, get the brats going, get all that shit going, get the cookout going. And we'll sit down and we'll go, what do you think? How you doing? Too bad you don't have the wing bowl anymore. You sit down having the wing bowl. But see, nowadays in the Me Too stuff, we can't have strippers and half-naked chicks any longer. Sorry, Sue. But we can't do any of that. It's a completely different world now, right? So yeah, no. I don't know. I don't think the wing bowl would be in any longer. Could you imagine watching the Eagle fans, the way they talk about the Cowboys? I hope they die. Man, people around the country would be like, what did they just say? Could you imagine putting Eagle fan like on Hard Knocks? I hope that team dies. I hope everyone on that team is dead. They're dead to me. You know how you get into an argument with your family members, man. Hey, he's dead to me. Hey, that's what Tone was saying. What are you doing on the West Coast? I'm like, I know, I'm an East Coast guy. That guy's dead to me. Eagles are the second best team in the NFL? I don't know. They may actually have the best team in the NFL. Bleed green, absolutely. F Dallas. Hey, just so you need bleed green, and I know some of you know this, but my Stephen Jones autographed helmet that the Cowboys sent me, I pretty much have moved it out of the Dan cave because we're not looking – because hey, look, me being Italian, okay, you know Big Sills doesn't like the reverse juju. So I've moved the cowboy helmet out of the studio area because, look, dude, I can't have bad juju. So I've kind of like moved it out of there, okay? Cosmo goes, who has the best fan base? Dude, can I tell you, honestly, I would say between Bills, Eagles, Steelers, Packers are pretty good. Niners are underrated. Niners are underrated. They're whining a lot now, but they're underrated. Let's see. Patriots have a good fan base. But see, that was only during the Brady era. We'll see how many fans stick around through this stuff going on now up there. There wasn't a lot of fans when Steve Grogan and Tony Eason was your quarterback. But because Tom Brady. Oh, hey, real quick, before I move on. So explain this one to me. So Tom Brady is now a minority owner of the Raiders, right? And he's just being sued for the FTX scandal for defrauding investors. How'd that work out? How did the NFL owners approve him being a minority owner of the Raiders and Mark Davis selling him a minority share of the team when he's under investigation for defrauding fans? I'm not suggesting you that Tom Brady knowingly defrauded fans. But, hey, if you're in the car and somebody robs a 7-Eleven, you're called an accomplice. Okay? That doesn't excuse him. He was in the car. Okay? He was in the car. Yeah, but he didn't mean – oh, hey, I know, man. I was in the car, too. You picked me up, and I was sitting on the side of the road, and I was looking for a ride home, but the guy robbed the damn 7-Eleven. You are an accomplice. How did he get a minority share of an NFL football team? I thought these things were really kind of like monitored and watched. You know? I thought that was like, I mean, how did he get in there like that? Yeah, you know, Tom now is a minority owner of the Raiders. Oh, so this guy gets a Raiders ticket to ownership, and this guy's got a case going on with a bunch of other celebrities where he defrauded the entire country. Okay. Hey, it's good to be Tom Brady, I guess. Twiz goes, Brady lost money too. Well, yeah, when you have Ponzi schemes, that's what usually happens. Ask Nevin Shapiro. Nevin Shapiro's doing time now in jail for defrauding people in South Florida. And the University of Miami was selling shit that I did to this guy, writing checks to people and letting him run through the smoke. What a bunch of scumbags those people were that I won't name any names, but the prior regime, what a bunch of scumbags that sold our brand in a Ponzi scheme on shit that I did. Hey, we're the Hurricanes. No, you know you're not. You're the Miami Hurricanes of today. You're not what I did. Far cry from that one, dog. I don't think so. You ain't been good in 20 years. See, hey, and you know how much I love the place. You ain't been good in 20 years. Don't consider yourself what I did and what Jerome did. Okay, you got a long hike up that hill yet. All right. Oh, by the way, Bucky Brooks has Nakobe Dean on the all-breakout team. Oh, wow. Little Nakobe Dean. That's his name for me. Little Nakobe Dean. Good to see you, Jameson. Bucky Brooks, the all-breakout team. Wow. That's something special. Got him on the all-breakout team. Nakobe has that green dot. Yeah, I know, man. If you didn't have the green dot on him, I really wouldn't notice him out there. Dude, your kicker's bigger than this guy. Josh Norman's bigger than this guy. I'm like, dude. Holy cow. He's a little fella. Not little Nakobe Dean. He got the dot? Really? Shit. James Bradbury's bigger than that dude. He's a little guy. Little tiny guy. Guy needs a Tokyo phone book to look even big sills in the eye. That's all good, though. You know, hey, what am I going to say? Oh, I want to do this. We have a great Jalen Hurts topic. Sills, but he's got a big heart. I love those guys with big hearts. He's like Rocky, right, man? He's got this. Hey, Nakobe Rocky Dean. Nakobe Rocky Dean. Dean picked up 15 pounds. Yeah, too bad he didn't pick up 4 more inches in height. Seriously, man, this guy sits at the little kid chair. You know, during the holidays, you have the little kid chair over there and the table. Then you got the adult table. He's a little fella. He's a little fella. Shit, man, I think Xander's bigger than that guy. Just saying. Sam Mills. I wouldn't go there yet. Sam Mills, NFL Hall of Famer. Let's see this kid get on the field first. Little Nakobe. All right. Boy, do I have a topic for you. And I don't know how you guys are going to take this on Jalen Hurts. We had a really great topic last week. And James, I was really shocked, Tone, that James didn't get, a little bit, temperamental with me and a little like, what do you call him? Well, butthurt, because, Big Sil said something about Jalen Hurts not being elite and that it takes time to become an elite player. I think we all agree it was not a rip. And all of you kind of went, yeah, okay, he's not elite. How can you say Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers? Well, for 2 decades, those guys have been elite. And because you thought they had bad years last year, that just shows you the level of play that they've had for 2 decades. Hurts has played 1 season. He's played 1 season. Now, I'm not going to relitigate that conversation we had. I'm not going there. Here's where I'm going with it. I saw statements coming out of the OTAs, and I liked them. By the way, I'm pretty impressed with what's going on with a couple of ball players there at the OTAs for the Eagles. I'm pretty impressed. But let me start here. And these are the quotes coming out of OTAs. Eagles expect another major jump in Jalen Hurts. Now, I'm asking you, what does that mean? Another jump. Expecting him to get to another level. What does that exactly mean? I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to make another step. Now, I want you to follow along. I'm not saying he's going to get worse. But what are you expecting him? Do you think you're looking for improvement in more numbers? Jalen Hurts is not going to get any better than what he is. Jalen Hurts is going to get better at what he's doing and who he is. He's not going to be a 5,000-yard passer, 4,500. His decision-making is going to get better. That's what's winning the games for the Eagles. He didn't put up gigantic passing numbers. Do you know what dominated teams last year? Jalen's decision-making. He's going to get better at being more comfortable with how he wins games. You're looking at it wrong. I heard people say 4,700 yards passing, 35. That's not where you want improvement. You want improvement on decision-making. You want improvement, watching every player benefit from having Jalen's decision-making. Look at the two players, actually three players, that benefited from Hurts having the year he had. Miles Sanders had a career year, A.J. Brown had a career year, and Devontae Smith had a career year. As I said to you, Geno Smith had higher passing numbers, completion percentage, touchdowns, everything. More attempts, more completions. He was a better passer than Jalen Hurts. Again, that's not the story, though. Jalen Hurts is not, you're not going to see gigantic improvement in numbers. What you're going to see is other players like Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift, improving and having career years because the quarterback makes the right decisions. Jalen Hurts is not going to improve to what you see with Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. He's not going to be that. However, he's going to limit the turnovers. The other guys are going to benefit. He's the Pied Piper. That's what I want to. I want to see Jalen Hurts' decision-making continue to improve, and you won't lose a game. You're right. If you're going to gauge Jalen Hurts on numbers, you're looking at what he is and who he is in the wrong way. His decision-making is what's dominating. How many times have we watched quarterbacks throw for 400 yards and get beat? The way he goes down the sidelines, instead of taking a loss on the play, he'd rather throw it out of bounds. That's decision-making. That's not taking minus yardage plays. He is by far more patient and smarter than Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. But for you guys to sit here, we expect Jalen to make the next leap. Exactly what is that? Dude, he is going to continue to hone what he is. You may see some fluctuation in numbers, but to me, I'm not gauging him on his numbers. I'm going to look at what the team has done under his direction. He did not have a tremendous passing year. Okay? But guess what? With his style of play, running and passing, everyone around him had a career year. That's the secret sauce in this guy. That's what the Eagles are paying. They're paying for that. For him to continue to make everyone better around him. Tom Brady didn't win a Super Bowl having a career year. Tom Brady had Super Bowls making Amendola, Edelman, Welker better players. All them wide receivers that he had. Deion Branch. That's what makes him and why you're paying him. You're not going to pay a guy $255 million for 3,700 passing yards. Still, he's in his second year. I know. I think you jumped the gate a little bit. You had one season, but they're gambling that, get this, they're not paying Jalen Hurts for those numbers. I get it now. They're paying Jalen Hurts for his decision-making prowess, and they want his experience to improve. And with experience comes poise and patience. And they believe they have the right guy to do that with. That's why they're paying this guy that. You see, when you gave Carson Wentz that money, you were expecting big numbers. Shit, Wentz put up big numbers. But at the end of the day, Wentz came back to earth. Because why? He didn't have the intangible that Jalen has. You know what that is? A work ethic to get better in decision-making. What's the one thing that we constantly criticize Carson Wentz for? His decision-making. Pat, duck, sack, fumble, scoop, score, field goal, down 7, down 3. Before you know it, your team's killed, and you're a 4-win team. That's not going to happen with that kid. Tone goes, people have to ask themselves the question, do they want Hurts to have big numbers and lose or less numbers and win? Ask Kirk Cousins how those big empty calorie, or Dak Prescott, how those empty calorie numbers fit. Dude, you don't want Jalen's numbers to go up. They're going to go up. You know where they're going to go up? They're going to go up in yards per carry with less carries. His accuracy is going to continue, and players around him are going to have career years. And it might lead to a 4,000-yard passing season. It might not. Who gives a shit? If he's making the right decisions, that's the next step here. Remember something. Stats are overrated. I'm going to prove a point to you on stats why they're overrated. Okay? I'm going to prove a point to you. Quarterbacks with stats and why it's so overrated. Okay? You have a guy in the NFL that's one of. Taking the next step for Jalen Hurts is here. And of course, hey, wait a minute. Does he have talent? Welcome to the NFL. He wouldn't be in the NFL, and he wouldn't be collecting $50 million a year paychecks if he didn't. Stop talking like that. We're beyond that now. He's got the money. You see, I'm going to tell you this too. In the process of evaluating Hurts, I'm learning too. I'm changing my opinion of the drop back quarterback too. He's doing that for me. But you know what? Here, hey, Tone, everyone, I haven't changed my opinion on Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Those two guys are not going to win Super Bowls unless they get smarter. The kid in Philly can, because he is smart. The guy in Buffalo and the guy in Baltimore are not going to win Super Bowls unless they get smarter. And they got a ton of talent. Jalen is the consummate Tom Brady overachiever. Dude, give me overachievers. Give me 53 of those guys. I'll win every war I'm in. I'll win every war I'm in because they're not going to surrender the foxhole. They're not going to put their hand up and tap on the helmet. I want out. That ain't going to work. Organizations are praying for wins, not stats. Correct. See, I saw that stat and I heard everybody. I listened to some of the radio. Yeah, I'm expecting 5,000. Dude, you're missing it. This kid's one of the smartest players in the league. That's my assessment on him. If I were to put an evaluation, and one of the critiques I would give on Jalen Hurts, he is a savant of football. He is so smart. And by the way, back in the old days, you know what they would say about a black quarterback? Well, he's a really athletic, gifted guy. They would never start with the brain and what it takes to really be a great quarterback. Having the greatest talent on the world, Jay Cutler, doesn't mean you're smart. That guy was a tool. Okay? It was a backhanded slap to the black quarterback back in the day. You start with brains at that position. You got to know where to go with the ball pre-snap. Not like college where they tell you where to go. Okay? No question about it. Dan Marino had stats, no rings. Because Dan Marino wasn't smart. You know why? Dan Marino never developed and helped develop a running game. Jalen Hurts has got the best running game in the league. That's where it starts. Russell Wilson fell apart in Seattle. Why? Marshawn Lynch ran away. They couldn't have a consistent running attack. All the great teams, play action. Brady's won 7 Super Bowls off of play action and intermediate passing. Not the deep throw. When he had the deep throw, he lost the Super Bowl in an undefeated season. Seconds away from immortality. But he didn't have a run. He didn't have a run game that year. This kid here is going to get better in his process. That's what the Eagles are investing in, is his process. Let me give you guys something here. Just because you get paid don't mean you're successful. Here are the top 10 highest paid players going into this year. Lamar Jackson, $52 million as of now. 1-3 in the postseason. I hope you get a better investment than that. Jalen Hurts, $51 million, 2-2. Still yet to be written. And coming off an improved year, no question. Aaron Rodgers, $50 million, 12-10, one Super Bowl. I don't know. Right? Makes you relevant, keeps you in the game. You're going to constantly be a division champion, or at least in the conversation. He's probably worth it because he keeps you relevant every year. Okay? Keeps you relevant every year. That's when you pay these guys, you want to be relevant every year. Correct? Russell Wilson, 48.5. 9-7 in the postseason. He kept Seattle afloat. But look at these numbers. 1-3, 2-2, 12-10, 9-7. Kyler Murray, $46.1 million. He's 0-1. Arizona's not relevant. Well, I mean, early in the process, but he's not relevant. Or the Cardinals aren't relevant. Okay. Deshaun Watson, $46 million, fully guaranteed, $230. He's 1-2. Okay, well, yeah. Here's Patrick Mahomes, 11-3, $45 million. Dude, you want to hear something? You take Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes off this list, the records for all these players are 25-26 for the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. Here, Josh Allen, $43 million, 4-4. Matthew Stafford, $40 million, 4-3. Dak Prescott, $40 million, 2-4. I mean, there's not a lot of winning outside of Mahomes here. So just because you make the money, don't mean you're delivering. What it means is you keep some of these teams relevant. You keep Baltimore relevant because Lamar can play. Hurts is on a stacked team. And Howie's done a great job keeping that. Here, I'll tell you. Do you know would we not say the storyline for the Eagles this offseason has been how Howie's kept the team intact? Would that not be the storyline? I don't think it's Hurts' contract. Well, I think it's Howie. Jalen Hurts is not the offseason story. It's Howie. He kept the team intact, got it more athletic, less experienced, and he did all this coming up with a creative way to do a contract for a $50 million a year per year guy in Hurts. I mean, hey, by the way, for the record, Eric, Dan Marino's record in the postseason's under 500. Hall of Fame? Put up big numbers. What do you win? He won an AFC title game. Okay. What did he win? Well, he changed the game the way he threw the ball. Okay, fair. That's fair. So are you saying he's not a Hall of Famer? No, I'm saying he made the Dolphins relevant. It's the only thing they had. But Dan Marino did the most important thing that ended up derailing what would have been an even better career, and something that Jalen does. You know what Jalen does? He spreads the wealth. He got better at his process. Jalen Hurts is a better process quarterback than Dan Marino is. And here's why. Dan Marino never wanted to develop other players on the team. Can you name me a 1,000-yard rusher in the history of that franchise under Dan Marino? His name was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I believe. He had 1,000-yard rusher in his entire 20 years in Miami. He didn't believe in running the ball. Well, you weren't going to win then, dude. High picks, high turnovers, put your team in bad situations, your situational play calling that you had in your own head hurt teams in critical situations. Hurts is not going to do that. That's why I tell you, it's about the process. We could never beat Marino. We'd beat Marino all day long because you know why? You just wait for him to make a mistake. He will. He always did. Here it goes. We never beat him. Marino beats himself. That's why he lost games. 2 AFC championship games in his entire career. I don't know. Sounds like an underachiever to me. Sounds like underachieving. Hey, I say this about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning won 1 Super Bowl with all that talent in Indianapolis. He underachieved. 1 Super Bowl? You had a Hall of Fame coach in Dungy. You had 2 Hall of Fame wide receiver in Wayne and Harrison. You had Dallas Clark. You had an offensive line that was intact for a decade. And you had Tom Moore as your OC for over a decade. And you won 1 Super Bowl? That's underachieving. Okay? Eagles were awful against Marino. I'm not talking about those Norman Braman shitbag offensive football teams that played against Dan. I'm talking about these complete teams now that we see, like the 17 team. There's not a chance in hell that Dan Marino would have survived that game against the 2017 Eagles. He would never have survived. They beat Tom Brady and the Patriots up. At the end of that Super Bowl, the Patriots were waving the white flag like they were France in World War I. They were surrendering. Surrendering. Eagles beat the piss out of them. I would say this to you. So when you hear people in Philly and around the country going, yeah, I think Hurts will throw for 4,500. That's not what we're after here. Hey, at the end of the year, if it adds up that he has 4K and everyone else has benefited from it, look, let me tell you this. I've never seen anything like this stat before in my entire life. You had 2 1,000-yard receivers, and you didn't have a quarterback throw for $4,000, let alone 5,000 yards? I've never seen that. You had a quarterback throw for under 3,800 yards, and you had 2 guys, 1,000-yard receivers? I'd like to look that number up and go back in history and see what the quarterback's numbers were on teams that had multiple 1,000-yard receivers and see what the quarterback's numbers are. That has to be one of the lowest totals in the history, but they were situationally done correctly. Look at the yards per catch. Look at you also know why those guys had great years. Look at the lack of turnovers that were on the team. I think the Eagles led the NFL in least amount of turnovers. Okay? Dan Marino. Dan Marino didn't want to take coaching. He was a baby. Okay? And I'd say this to you, Eric. I've said it before to people. He's not your most accomplished quarterback in Miami Dolphin history. Bob Greasy is. Someone go, Sills, you're trying to say Greasy was a better talent? No, I'm not trying. I never told you that Tom Brady was a better talent than Aaron Rodgers. But a guy that won 3 AFC title games, and one of those teams was undefeated, and the only undefeated team in NFL history, and he won 2 Super Bowls and 3 AFC titles. Marino has nothing on his resume like that. Oh, and by the way, Greasy has a Hall of Fame ring too. So where's the accomplishment for Marino over Greasy? This is a team sport. This is a team sport. The more accomplished hey, between Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, you think he's more accomplished than Bart Starr? Starr won 5 titles in 9 years under Lombardi. I don't know. I don't know. Right? I think Jalen Hurts has already surpassed Donovan McNabb as the all-time Eagles' best quarterback. I would say this to you. Now he has to put years together, Philly born. Now he has to put the years behind it. You see, how about this? I think this is a better I don't know. Do you think this is a statement that's true? Donovan McNabb right now is still the greatest quarterback in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. But Jalen Hurts has the intangibles to take that place. He just needs to be elite every year. See, I think Philly born, you make my point. When you look at the two quarterbacks that would lead you, if you had a pick between Jalen Hurts and Donovan McNabb to take your team across the finish line to win a Super Bowl, who are you picking? I'm not picking McNabb. I would never pick that guy. I think he's a loser. I would take Jalen Hurts in a second. In a second. Shit, I might take Jaws over Donovan. Jaws had guts. McNabb was petty. Bitched at his teammates for their own successes. Dude, he didn't hate T.O. because T.O. had a big mouth. He hated T.O. because T.O. was a better player than him. That's why he hated him. When Deshaun Jackson got the distinction of being the first guy to be a Pro Bowler at both special teams and wide receiver, he hated that too. His pettiness is what makes him a loser. He's a loser. I mean, and now he's come back to Philly with his hand out and his head down, looking for forgiveness of how he treated fans and how he treated the media. And that's why he still keeps that argument going with T.O. after 20 years. It's him. Okay? Because T.O.'s right. He's not wrong. Well, one guy destroyed the locker room. Huss, that's your responsibility as a quarterback in this league to make sure that that locker room gets along with everybody. Everyone. Ask Tom Brady. Ask Jalen Hurts. Look at all the personalities that these quarterbacks today have to deal with. When you've got a shitty attitude, Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers, you don't win at critical moments. Why? Because your own self-serving needs outweigh the betterment of the team. The sacrifice of one is worth the pain of not having to sacrifice the many. You're on a football team of 53 men that you have to motivate every Sunday, whether they're an asshole or whether they're people that should sit at the right hand of God. You're there to manage everyone. You're there to help everyone, no matter what it is. And if you got to eat a little ego, you got to be Steph Curry or Dwayne Wade. You know why those guys, I love those guys as leaders. They brought personalities into their team like LeBron James and KD, two babies, and they treated them like men. That's why they won with them. Hey, this is your team, KD. Hey, LeBron, this is your team. Everyone knew in Miami. No, it wasn't. It was Dwayne Wade's team. And everybody knew it wasn't KD's team. Were those two guys the best players on the floor? Yeah. But it wouldn't have worked unless the leadership was in the room with Steph Curry and with Dwayne Wade. That's what Jalen Hurts is. Okay? See, Jalen Hurts not only reads the field, he reads the locker room. Something Wentz failed at massively. That's what makes him a $255 million gamble that the Eagles are willing. Can you imagine all the conversations they had? And to go like this, nobody in their right mind goes like this. Here's $50 million for a one-year wonder. So you think he's a one-year wonder? Let's talk about it. What are we paying for here? You know, Wentz, we gave the contract extension. What separates it? It's the man. It's not the numbers. It's how he processes his life. It's how he processes the game. He's being paid for his brain, how he sees it. So when you guys keep going, don't think, and I always try to tell you guys this, try not to think so micro. Think more macro when you're talking about great superstar players. What do they bring to your team that's different from the last guy? Dude, I'll tell you one thing that the Eagles have that probably helped them through the process with Hurts is that they had the failure of Wentz. Okay? Not a very tough guy. I'll make a point to you. Jalen Hurts couldn't raise his arm according to what Peter King said when he played in that Giant game. Couldn't raise his arm. I guarantee you Carson Wentz doesn't play in that game. I guarantee he doesn't play. That Seattle game was the last straw for Howie. Okay, not only is he not a good locker room connection guy, he's not tough. Mistake. Didn't have the right coaches around him. Frank left. You had a coach in Doug who was fighting for more autonomy because he was protecting them. He wanted to get better players around him. Howie had given up on him. He's not tough. See, Doug's loyalty cost him a job in Philly. I see it now. I got it. I completely got it now. They paid $250 million on a guy on what he is and who he is. Not what he's going to. They want him to get better at being Jalen Hurts. You guys want him to be Joe Burrow. You guys want him to be Josh Allen. He's not. He's not going to be ever any of those guys. But you know what Jalen Hurts? You know what Jalen Hurts' numbers are going to be in a game? 275, 65 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. You put those numbers up every game, not turning the ball over, you'll win every fucking game you're in. How many times do we see this? 450 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. 2 picks come at what? The worst time in the game because he's forcing it late. Josh Allen. You're going to win with Hurts' stat line more than you're going to win with Josh Allen's stat line. 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Hurts, 2 touchdowns, 275, and multiple ways of moving the ball. 60 yards rushing, 275, 300 yards in total offense every game. No turnovers and 2 touchdowns. You're going to win every game you're in. Every game you're in, you're going to win. Or you're going to have a Herculean effort like the guy in Kansas City. That was a Herculean comeback. And for the record, let's put that into perspective. And again, this is all about Hurts' improvement on the next step and what they're saying. Okay? That was the best second half of coaching Andy Reid has ever had. Andy Reid had to put the greatest second half coaching plan together to beat Hurts. That's what it's going to take to beat you. See, as much as that hurt, you still have to take the silver lining here with it. Tell you what, how many quarterbacks in the league could come out and throw at that completion percentage and do what he did and beat the Eagles? I don't know if there's any. It not only, Eric, took a superstar, but it took a superstar coaching effort in that comeback. You guys are looking at this. Okay? All those Prescott numbers, 400 yards, but 3 INTs. Joshua. And that's why he's 2-4 in the postseason. That's why he's 2-4. Exactly. Guy puts up Kirk Cousins' numbers. Look at, I don't even know what Kirk Cousins' postseason numbers are. They have to be horrific. Sirianni, a great coach. I don't know that. believe that. I think he's a solid character. Watch this. I think he's a solid babysitter. I don't really believe that the Eagles have had a coach in that building since Andy Reid. I think you have babysitters in that organization now. I think you'll only have babysitters. And what babysitters do is they're told what to do, not get in the way, stay out of the way, and help continue to foster the culture that the top organization and the executive branch want to have in that building. That's my takeaway. Nick Sirianni's the most replaceable piece in that organization. Finding guys like him will be easy as long as you know the landscape, like Frank told him. Don't bitch with Howie. Don't put your beak in any place that you're not wanted, and you're going to be okay. Stay in your lane. The coaches that want to get out of their lane in Philly don't last. That will be a way of doing business moving forward. Okay? Mr. International goes, he's still respected. Yeah, because you know why? He respects the process. Know your role. Everybody in Philadelphia has, dude, the greatest thing that you can have in an organization is knowing your role. And your role being told to you. It's not a slam on Nick. But what happens with ego and winning, you believe that you built up enough equity where you could start dipping into somebody else's sandbox, and that's where things go sideways. That's why the organizations that have all the clarity in it are the ones with the least voices in it. You got one voice in Philly. And you got an owner who allows that voice to be the Pied Piper of that organization. That's why it's working. The thing in Dallas, it doesn't work. Why? Well, the Pied Piper is the owner. The head coach has no respect and no autonomy. Because you know why? The owner doesn't know his role. When Jerry Jones was at his best, is when he knew his role. Pay the checks. Pay the checks. Christian goes respect equals wins. Dude, whether Nick Sirianni's the head coach or not, as long as Jalen Hurts and that locker room is the way it is, Nick Sirianni, Bob Sirianni, Nathan Sirianni, I don't care. I really don't. He's the most interchangeable piece in that locker room. Okay? I mean, know your role. One of the 48 laws of power is to never outshine the master. Correct. Obviously, too, my boy Tone here has read Sun Tzu. Sirianni understands it's in the best interest to appeal to Howie's ego. He knows he'll go further if he plays his role and sticks to football. It's not, Tone, it's not so much appealing to the ego, it's managing the ego of Howie Roseman. This is what made Tom Brady in 20 years of working with Bill Belichick work. Nobody works with Bill Belichick. You ever notice that? Nobody. He looks like Cleveland Bill Belichick. But Brady managed Bill Belichick's ego. Brady took the more subservient role and allowed him to believe what he was actually saying was something that truly mattered with the little tiny stupid little shit. Same thing with Greg Popovich. Do you know who the guy who took the subservient role when it came to spreading what he actually meant? It was Tim Duncan. The Spurs have not been the same since Duncan's been out of the building, and the Patriots have not been the same since Brady's been out of the building. It wasn't just because of their spectacular talent. It was because they were able to manage high-powered egos. You can't have two alpha dogs in the building at one time. They'll annihilate one another. So what you do is you manage that. You manage the ego. Brady managed the ego. You see, appealing means that you're constantly saying and doing and turning yourself into a lap dog. That's not what I'm saying Sirianni is. And most of you are right here. The more winning Sirianni gets to, if he's smart, use particular words that won't touch people off. You know, you can use words. Don't ever use phrases like my way, I think. What do you think? You know, we had a conversation the other day, all of us together, coaches he hired. He's going to be more open, Howie. You know, we were talking about we. Never use the word I if you're a coach in the Eagle organization. Fastest way to get fired. We, because why? What does that imply? We, the coaches that you hired, Howie, and myself, who you hired, we're having a conversation that we need more depth in the D tackle position. What do you think? You use we and you. That's managing Howie's ego. That's why he waited at the front door after he put Linval Joseph and Dominic Sue. And he was waiting there for everyone. Because Nick Sirianni made him feel that he did that. That's managing. That's managing. And see, in today's NFL, I think personally, this is why you see these Brandon Staley's and these Kevin Stefanski's and the Jonathan Gannons of the world, and you don't see those old dogs any longer because those guys use I and me, not we and us. They want this thing to be a collective group because of the analytics that are in the game. And that's what the Eagles are looking for in an organization. See, Chip Kelly's an I guy and a me guy, my way guy. That was never going to work. Was never going to work when you had an owner knowing that's not the kind of the culture that they want in the building. The culture is exactly what I'm telling you it is. It's a great culture, by the way. You know why? You're winning. You're making great hires. Your assistant coaches, I mean, hey, we'll see what Sean Desai does. You know, my question with him is going to be, is it going to be aggressive, not aggressive, the same? Still yet to be determined. You're more athletic now, but still that's a Howie call. So if you're Sirianni, you go to him and you go, what do you think? What do you think, Howie? More aggressive, less aggressive? You know, we brought in more athletic players. I'm assuming we want to be a little bit more athletic, which means what? A little more risk-taking. You get younger and athletic to take a little more risk. Because you know why? If a guy runs himself out of a play, he can run himself back into a play because of his athleticism. The Eagles are by far more athletic on defense this year than they were a year ago. They're less experienced. That's the difference in here. Is that they're just okay. Joshua, I got enough to handle, man. Thank you for saying that, though. Hurts masters in human relations. He'll be ready for the GM job in 10 years. Yale, you know what? Let me put it to you this way too. Let me put it to you this way too. On the great coaches that know how to manage. Jimmy Johnson was a psychology major at Arkansas. Okay, so his background is psychology and coaching. Every player loves to be stroked. Every general manager loves to be stroked. Certain guys you don't have to as much. Some guys you do. That's the key to being in the Eagle branch and in the Eagle organization. Okay? So, just to close this topic up, I got another one. I got a Jordan Davis topic at the top of the hour here. Don't put numbers on Hurts. We want him improving. Okay? We want him improving in his decision-making, getting better at who he is. Dude, hone that. Why in the world would you want him drop? Dude, look at what happened to Brady. Brady got down with Bruce Arians. They were 7-5. They lose to the Bears on that game. They were no risk it, no biscuit. Brady goes, we cannot be turning the freaking ball over like this. We cannot. They went right back to dink and dunk, and they won a Super Bowl. Low percentage turnover plays, being smarter. That's what Tom Brady brought to the Super Bowl, and that's what he brought to Bruce Arians. Dude, no risk it, no biscuit. Don't win any Super Bowls. Consistency, no turnovers. Don't have to be spectacular plays. Do you guys remember any spectacular? Hey, for the record, do you guys remember any spectacular plays that Tom Brady made in those 6 Super Bowls in New England? Maybe the pass in the Rams game that put him in field goal position? Maybe that one? Hour 2, our friend Gary Cobb, OTAs this past weekend for the Eagles. We'll talk to him. He was there. Hit the like button. Got another topic. Jordan Davis is on the list. Keep it here on the National Football Show.